Hey good people, and thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Goody Be Knowing. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this channel so you can get live updates and alerts when we have new episodes, new content. It's all rolling in. Make sure you are the first one to find out when that happens. Come on and be a part of the family. Go ahead and hit it. It don't take nothing. Hit it. Yeah. Hey my good people, and welcome to another episode of Goody Be Knowing. And now my heart has been going in two different directions. Definitely when I'm on live, make sure you follow me on all platforms. Any platform that you can think of. Goody Giving Game, that is the platform to follow. That will be me. Only on this platform, it's Goody Giving Game TV, I think. But I think this week is going to be so interesting. I think I'm going to lead into, obviously, if you've already clicked the title, you know what this week's episode is about. Relationships, situationships, partnerships. And have I chose a direction to put those in order? That's not a particular order, but we are going to talk about layers. As I've approached my 30s, I have grasped such a new concept of relationships with the opposite sex. Now, does this apply to same sex? Absolutely, because people have the same characteristics. But people I went on live on Tag, so follow me at Goody Giving Game on Tagged. I'm going to put all this shit in the video. So if you're listening to the audio, make sure you follow me, GOODYGIVINGAME, Goody Giving Game. That is the only platform I know. And all my tags, all the links, all that will be on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all the good stuffs. You know, we're gonna get all into that marketing and getting better at that. But obviously you see the shirt, crop top. I know a lot of my girlies like crop tops, but Goody Giving Game. I don't like a lot of stuff with my name on it, so I'm gonna try to be creative and get some more into my marketing. But yeah, I thought this was just such an interesting topic as a current or as a former situationship girly. I have a lot to divest in. Now, somebody just brought up relationships and they asked me, like, should I be in a relationship? I'm feeling like being a gigolo. Da, da, da. Obviously, I don't know if you should be a gigolo, but like juggling multiple women. This was a male who obviously asked me this, but juggling multiple women. A lot of my youngsters always ask me about having a team. Have I had a team? Have you had a team? Have you had a team? Team has multiple layers to it. What do you say as a team? For me, I'll probably say, like, I have talked to, and I probably should break down that term, but I've talked to multiple men and not was having intercourse with multiple men, but I was definitely entertaining. I had a lunch boo. I had a, just conversational boo. I've definitely had the Cash App. Trust and believe. And I'm gonna manifest this in this episode. So night episode, I'm late this week, yes. But I'm gonna manifest that I am going to be on the Don't Call Me White Girl podcast. I don't have enough clout yet. I ain't worked hard enough yet, so I don't deserve it. But I am going to manifest. I love Demona. I feel like she is my spirit animal. I love her so much. And I'm one of those girlies who lives the corporate girly life. And I work in school, so I'm a role model. But I definitely listen to your shit. And I'm going to be on your fucking podcast when I work my ass off. But she's always transparent about her relationships and like all these things. And like I've been that like wanting to live vicariously through other people, because I've always lived like, I'm a former athlete. I've always been in education in my real job. And so when I step into like my womanhood and who I am, and as I grow identity in this show, I'm just like, I want to be as real and transparent. So yes, I've had a team of niggas. I wasn't having intercourse with all of those guys, but like I had a couple guys I was entertaining, and so I went through that. I've been in a relationship. If you know me, I have a child. I have one son, and I was definitely in a relationship with his son, with his father. I was engaged to his father. So that's my college sweetheart. And you know, I think I've been through all phases, but this situationship shit, you know what I mean? Taking the power, and I'm gonna say this. I know a lot of people are saying this, but I'm gonna say this. The word of 2023, and I want that shit to jump into 2024. I want us to identify better in 2024, but I want us to Delulu, baby, year of 2023, my Jesus year. You'll get the reference. I have really been like in this phase of, damn, like some parts I've been Delulu, some parts I've been Delulu myself. That's that imposter syndrome. Like Delulu has so many aspects of how it can be such a great word, baby. But like embarking and stuff, I didn't really put a title on it. At first I was gonna name this episode Black Women Can Endure Anything. Because as a black 30-something-year-old woman, when we talk about relationships with the opposite sex, for me, or relationships if you're in the same sex, I feel like they have still been difficult. They have still been an obstacle to deal with. And in reality, like, we really be dealing with some shit. We be dealing with some shit. I shouldn't have to deal with baby mama so crazy drama, even if I'm being positive. I different cheating on me. I just coming back to me, leaving me, going to Sawyer Royal Oaks, coming back to me, having hella kids, doing. Just think of every scenario as a black woman. I don't care what black woman see this video. Think about everything that you have endured. If you are living a perfect marriage of bliss life, I'm not saying we don't do right, because we do right. I'm not denying that credit. I think there is a lot of successful black relationships. One that I love is Kev on Stage. One that I love and his wife, Melissa, Miss Kev on Stage. One that I'm giving game to people I look up to and people I watch. I watch all the way to Demona, to Kev on Stage, and that chick Angel, and having established relationships, and Tabitha Brown, and all these people. Like, you see good black, there's enough good quality Beyonce and Jay-Z for some of those that look, in those eras, like, there's a lot of good quality black relationships that we see even older and past, like, you know what I mean? I'm just speaking off the dome, but we do have reference of that. But then a lot of us, like, even if they would admit, and I watch they stuff, and I'm like, it's a cesspool of dating. And some of those good old things, they don't exist. And some of those good old things, you got to go through you got to dig through some trash and deal with some thrift stuff, and even sale stuff, and you gotta do, even in all of that, you gotta do some work to dig to find the gems. You know what I mean? And so I was just thinking, like, the first person that brought acknowledgement to something that I needed to think about, right? As a black woman, you always want to be proposed to. You always want to be number one. You always want to be like the princess, right? And so I always respect my mother. You're going to hear this a lot on this show. But I always respect her, and one day I'll get her on here maybe. But I always respect her because when my son's father proposed to me, we had been dating, and, this was dream courtship. Like, everything wasn't perfect because he also, maybe he had a situationship, child. I don't know, not his child. I don't know, but no disrespect. But I'm gonna cut that out. Anyways, but in that, it wasn't ideal. It wasn't perfect, but it was the most perfect. It was the most pursued. But when he proposed, it was key because my mom was like, hey, that's the same thing I got. I got proposed to when I was a junior and I didn't finish school and I had to go a different course. So I'm going to make sure that, yes, you can propose, but there's some contingency to this. That didn't come to fruition and we ended up being great co-parents. And then as I continued to date after that, so I dated him majority of my tenure in college. Shout out the righteous one. The I love. But in that, like, I didn't really have dating experience. I was very closed off. I was very church girly. I was very no experience to dating. So I go out here. Obviously, I'm different than I was in middle school. Shout out to the glow up. I was different than I was in high school. Shout out to the glow up. I was different after I had that kid. You hear me? Shout out to the glow up. Okay? So, in that, it was crazy because, like, the interest, right? The interest. But I've always been selective. I've always been nope type of person. So I started out with a small little congregation. The congregation never, and I say team, the starting five, because I'm a hooper. So the starting five never, they really weren't connection. They were still my Jackson, college connections. So they weren't really sustainable. And then, as I ventured off, I entertained because I should be taken care of. I can entertain, I can date, I can talk to people. And so I know there's a lot of differential of like, what is talking? What does that look like? How does that play out? But you can just have casual conversation. Now, this is a difficult situation because I'm going to just keep it a buck. Like, I am also a woman who I advocate for female athletes. So just to believe, if you ain't tuning in to Good to Be Knowing and you a former athlete, you should know. I don't care if you play elementary, middle school, high school, college, pros, whatever. As an athlete, certain women who are looking for relationships, you kind of are reserved, right? You're not trying to go out for heckin' people because you're so focused on this goal. Like, I was so focused on, like, I gotta be the best basketball player every single day. So how can I focus on talking to a dude, like, or having intercourse with a dude when I'm in high school, or like, it just wasn't top priority for me. And people knew that, which I respect. I respect my community. I respect my homies because they identify with me like, oh, she's serious about her business. Like, she trying to get it done. She trying to get to college. She trying to, you know what I mean? And so many people, like, they saw the work ethic in me, so they expected that, period. And so, my guy friends, I definitely connected more with my guy friends. I apologize as a teammate, because I grew up with only brothers, and I didn't connect well with the emotionalness of being a woman, being a girl. I just thought I was a basketball player. Like, I didn't think of anything else. I just knew this is something that I can be authentically myself. I can grow. Basketball didn't do no damage to me. It has only uplifted me. With all the bad that has ever happened, it has only put me in a better perspective, a better situation to handle every situation. And so, I just always was focused on, like, I can't do X, Y, and Z if I'm not in the gym, if I'm not, and I was an underdog, so it made it even intensify times 10, you know what I mean? But, that was never a focus of building relationships. Now, did I like boys? Yeah. Did I want to boo, yeah, but they was sleeping on your girl. They wasn't really rocking with your girl. You know what I mean? They wasn't really, you know what I mean? It's hard. My mom said it best. Like, it's hard to say you like somebody who is smarter than you in the classroom, who is more articulate than you. Oh, can't even get it out. More articulate than you at a very young age, more mature than you at a very young age, and I can beat you in everything in sports. That's kind of like the outlier. Like, when you can beat boys in sports, it's no bueno. Okay? Especially in the era that I grew up in. So, like, it was hard to, like, build relationships in that. Like, I definitely had crushes and like boys, but they definitely wasn't feeling me. And I understand why now. As that matriculated and passed a relationship with my son's father, you know, you just start dealing with men and you start interacting with the opposite sex. And at the end of the day, the derivative is always busting the nut. Like, I feel like as a single mother, and some single mothers may understand, the reason why I stay in solitude, the reason why I stay away from wanting anything with any of y'all is because it's just like, I have so much responsibility. I have so much, and like, if it's just about getting a nut, I don't need that. Like, I just don't need it. So, it's like, when you step into that boundary of like intercourse, I think I've always been a woman of selective body count. I'm selective with it. I've always been that type of person. I've always been the type of gal. All women, I don't speak for all women, but in my experience, and what this essentially show is about, is how my experience and how I can learn from my good people, but also how my transparency can open up communication and conversation. And it's just been an interesting go. And as these situations, relationships, teams, partnerships, let's get into that. As my, squirrel taps in, y'all will learn about that. Anyways, so if you can get that reference, I might slide you something. I don't know. Anyways, and that's to my audio listeners too. I love you guys as well. But recently, somebody was like, well, my best friend. Let's just talk about that. My guy best friend. He was like, hey, I don't want to be boyfriend and girlfriend. I want to build a partnership, which is why partnership is in this. And I think as I venture into whatever my next endeavor, what it is building that family establishment, getting married, whatever relationship, I don't want to seek a relationship. I definitely feel like there's a million videos that break down relationships and the codependency of them. One thing before the Smiths went crazy, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, is I admire their thought process of as my husband, as my wife, it's not your purpose to make me happy. It's my purpose. It's my, goal to work on my happiness, and together our partnership. They still preach that. And they've stayed true to that. My partnership with you is more important, more valuable when it comes down to what we've established. And that's what I seek. I don't know if I seek all the crazy and all the extra shit. But I will say, when you are seeking partnership, you have to be real. Like, somebody proposed, like, oh man, I want a relationship where I ain't got to find out nothing about you and you accept me for who I am. Yeah, I want you to forgive me. I want you to accept me for who I am. But why do I have to lie so much and pretend so much in the forefront for you to reveal, or a tough situation to see who I am? I think we lack the talk time, the talk era, the talk span. Because in that talk span, we have the ability to talk about anything, but do we talk about real stuff? I'll always say, like, I'm not to that magnitude yet. I'm not to that place yet. But at some point, I wanted to. My time means manyan. You understand? Like, I want at some point where you can't waste my time with bullshit, frivolous conversation. And so I have to manage that now. If you are not talking to me about something that is significant, I care about, that makes me manyan, or that I love, there's nothing really that we should be discussing. Don't waste my time in conversation. So in that talk period, are you really just wooing and lying and doing all the extra to get to the end goal of the nut? Or are you really using that time to establish yourself? Are you really using that time to say, hey, I'm deficient in this area, and are you willing, am I looking for a relationship? Am I looking for a partnership? Am I looking, and that relationship partnership word can vary. I do feel like there is some lack of codependency, but what I say in where I think that it differs is, yes, I want you to step up, but I want you to step up when I can only give 20. I want you to be okay with giving 80, and you don't feel any type of negative emotion towards me. Because when you are at 20, I'm going to give 80 with no questions, ifs, ands, or buts about it. And maybe it's in reverse where I got to give it first and now you can give it back in return. It's a give and exchange type of thing. Always giving balance, always giving partnership, collaboration, and how we establish our foundation. I will say, for me, going amongst being in a situationship girlies, it happens. I think that goes into the tie of, like I said, black women endure a lot of things. Some of that is, and let me speak in defense, right? Some of that is you are given honesty, but you don't want to accept honesty. And usually once you start having intercourse, your emotions change and you still require this man to give you something that he already told you he wasn't going to give you. Then there's a flip side of it where the man lies and you are deceived into giving emotionally, indulgently with intercourse, and then giving more emotionally as we are as women, and then you are now set up into, oh well, it's really not you, it's a, you know what I mean, situationship, side chick, whatever type of endeavor. Never been through it, never experienced it until recently, and I didn't even know a title for it until the situationship told me what the title was. Which is wild to me. Anyways, but in that, I was like, yes. As a black woman, all I knew and all I know is to support a black man. That's why I'm so cool with my homies. You know what I mean? To tie back into the squirrel moment. To tie back into being cool with certain men, because in that dynamic I have been just genuinely cool with them. Like I don't seek nothing, I don't want nothing, I don't know, like, you my bro. That's because I grew up with brothers, I grew up with all cousins, it's not a lot of women, so like I grew up around males, my uncles and type of stuff, so I just knew to be cool and not be on no sexual humbug dreams, fantasies or type deal. But I also knew in return, like, I know how men are. I know they'll wait and camp out and sit and do all this other stuff. And, like, you know, all those things, precautions. I was raised that way, to be cautious, you know, always to protect that. But sometimes we do lie in dealing with a lot of situations that we don't necessarily know how to deal with. You know what I mean? That we aren't equipped with the skills to deal with. Like, you see a lot, right? You see a lot. I love Mama Mac. That's what we're gonna call her on social media, Mama Mac, right? I love her, and I saw a lot. So I saw her endure a lot. And in enduring a lot, you are naturally innate to talk to what? Endure a lot. And so sometimes when you fall into a situationship, or you accept to be the side chick, or you do whatever that may be, like, in some of that, you are chipping away at yourself. But you are taught to endure it. Because maybe at the end of the rainbow, it will all turn out sunny. Like, you think that it is going to come into fruition, but in reality, you don't. And I love this generation of, you don't have to accept this. You don't have to deal with certain stuff. You don't own your power. Accept it. Independence is so preached, but in reality, the opposite sex expects so much domestication, expects so much modesty, expects so much humbling when it comes to women. And there are other men and other people that accept and appreciate the aggressive approach to things, but it's just like, with this independence, it shies away a lot of people. It doesn't, hopefully it brings a lot of people, but good people with intentions, trying to build something, trying to build that partnership. So it's easily, like, you have to really cipher, pick through, like, you gotta really get through the fine comb, rake through. I'll never forget, like, one of the field trips in my elementary days. We went to, like, a gold mining thing, and there was, like, you went through the field trip, you saw the gold mine, got out the history part, and then at the end you, like, sifted through the gold, and it was just sand and water, and you would put it through, and you would have to sift. And now when you look at that sifter, it's very fine, very that only sand and bullshit can fall through. No, I told you, don't get me to preaching. Only sand and bullshit can fall through, but the gold rises to the top. And so, like, that is literally the term of day. Now you gotta be quick about fool's gold. That's another episode. But it's the reality of, like, when you are out here in this world, unless you are working on your marriage, or you are building a relationship where you feel like, this is something that I could really deal with for the rest of my life, it is toxic, delulu, crazy nonsense. And you expect adults to be adulting. That's one thing for me. Like, I really expect adults to act like adults. But back to Mama Mac. I don't know, this episode has something to do with her. It's close to her birthday. But back to Mama Mac. She always said, as a supervisor, I'm just managing adults that act like kids. So at the end of the day, some people are stuck in that certain age of peak of they don't ever grow. And that is the window of avenue that they display. And so in that, you are always dealing with childish behaviors, childish ways, no matter how old they are, until you start dealing with trauma, work, breaking stuff down. You'll never grow to your appropriate age. You'll be stagnant. And that is a lot of people in the world. Trust and believe me. I know everybody doesn't want to do the work to be better, and that's a reality. That's something that you got to kind of deal with. But at the same time, if you are choosing to date and you are choosing to be out here, some stuff before choosing to be promiscuous with somebody, you have to think about, let me just be 1,000. This is why team works for me. Team works because I haven't met a person that can deal with me 24/7. Preach. And I'm not crazy, promiscuous, out here doing whatever, but I'm saying from the nullest 0 to the scope of 100 of women. And the reality of it is, when I take my lashes off, when I have my hair untwisted, when I don't have my weave in, when I don't have my wig in, when I don't have my my nails on, or when I don't have my makeup on, can you authentically deal with the reality of what I have to deal with? And that goes vice versa. And more than likely, that person saw you at the club, saw you at church, saw you at the bank. If you know our culture, we don't usually step out half-stepping. Baby, we gonna come with it. You saw me at work, you saw me at wherever, you saw me at this event, you saw me at that. Wherever you approach me, you see the exterior me out of my safety zone. Some people authentically live with themselves, and they may deal with different relationship goals. They may deal with different relationship situations. Sometimes you moving real and authentic, and you ain't getting no attraction because you so real and you so authentic that people don't even want to step. But people, the majority, are moving so fraudulent, so fake with it, that you only see one person of me. Everybody got bipolarness, if you ask me. You only see one scope. This is why. When you see me, you only see me as one scope. If you learn more about me, then you're saying, hey, she carries herself with respect. If she says she has a kid, she must be a good mother. Okay, let me see the results. Okay, display that. Boom. Good woman, good mom, educated, handles her business. Now, I can all portray that and not be able to cook. I can have good yan and not be able to clean. Be living reckless. Out here wild. Like, it can be so much deceived, right, in this dating cesspool that if you aren't being honest, why are you out here? Why are you out here? If you don't want to be real, if you don't want to accept stuff, go ahead. Because stop bringing your trauma bond and your negativity. That's a new word I learned. I'm old, a little bit, old in spirit, young at heart, young in face. Anyway, I just like, if you ain't got no good, why you out here? That's just my mentality. If you ain't gonna work on yourself, stop bringing that to me. Stop bringing stuff to me because you think I can work it through and help you out and get you better to go ahead and blossom, and then you gonna shit on me and then you gonna get me. No. That's what we not gonna do. So, like, we have to just be more real and more transparent as grown-ups. And a lot of your parents did it and displayed it. You just didn't know it. And the one thing I tell my mom is, and my elders that are in my life, don't sugarcoat it with me. To keep it a buck. Tell me how you handled it. Tell me how you move. Tell me how you maneuver. Because they were dealing with some of the same stuff. They just wasn't as weak as us. They got to go and cry about it and complain about it and put it on live and do all this other stuff and tweet about it and do all this extra stuff. They handled it appropriately. When I'm done, I'm done. When I'm not. That's why Mary J. killed it in the 90s. Y'all better understand why Auntie Mary killed it in the 90s. Because when she loved hard. And when she was done, and she was done hard. Fantasia. All them Keisha Cole. All them hard love singers. Them ones that came up 90s, early 2000s. That's because at some point, you got to stand up for yourself as a woman. And definitely, I would say in all situations, I belittle myself. Whether it's team, and now team, I don't know though. Team, I'm kind of in control. Team, I'm kind of in season. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I'm not getting totality. And I think you have the right to say, I don't want a relationship. I don't want to be tied down. I want to do this. I want to explore and be open and deal with other people and be transparent and say I'm doing it. And there's a ton of people in the world that do it. Double T. Because there's people that do it. I think there's a reflection and there's a community for everyone. And so I think you should just move with good intentions. Move to be a good person. Try to, even though it's hard, I don't gotta open the door completely, but my patio's open. And if you're on my patio or you're on my porch, it's usually decorated, styled up, done up, real personality, shows my charismatic side. And so I'm like, if that's, I'm gonna let a little bit in. It's not gonna all be fake. Some of it's gonna be thrifted. Some of it's gonna be handmade because I like to make crafts. That'll be a whole nother episode as I build my growing. Like at certain points, like you have to be just real and authentic of who you are and what you are, so people can have the option of choice, which is why I love honesty. Honesty is the number one policy, because when you are honest, I can choose to deal with it or not. Now, sometimes we choose to be the second, the third, whatever it is. I just want access because that's all she's maybe giving, or that's all he may be giving. You also may be able to choose, like, hey, but you also, at some point, you got to be real. Like, at some point, the rubber is going to be the road. At some point, you're going to keep sifting, because this is the crazy part. As I sift, and y'all know I love to preach and talk. As I sift, right, all of the sand don't go off immediately. The immediate sand that can't deal with it, can't get through, that gets off. Now, I got to put a little elbow. I got to put a little in it. More will fall off. Got to make sure I shake it, maybe dip it in the water again, cleanse it, light water, replenish, cleanse it again, because the rest will fall out. So, like, there may be a process to getting to it. You may have to go through the talking stage and dating and being in the field. And dating is not having a team, I think, essentially, because I feel like you can talk to multiple people. Get to know multiple people. Like, don't be tied down if you don't want to be tied down. Don't be committed if you know you are not ready for commitment. But we have to be real with ourselves. We have to stop pretending and faking and allowing, because we just want companionship. We just want companionship. We don't care what it comes at any cost. I haven't really broken that down yet. Maybe somebody will get in the comments and tell me something intellectual. But it's just like, I, as a poli-sci major, so all my poli-sci majors stand up. I don't think they necessarily think we have this much personality, or we end up going to law school. But as a poli-sci major, I'm so analytical about studying the trends and patterns of people. And I always want to understand how we can move and do better, how we can be more successful. And the one thing I've always learned is just being real, being honest, being you, being transparent, keeping it a buck. Like, that's the only thing that will lead to an ultimate happiness, an ultimate success. And even in getting, sometimes people like, oh, why you get the fairy tale story and you said no? And I watch all the marriage, all the love, because I proclaim it, I manifest, I want to be married, I want to be in ultimate partnership, a lifetime partnership that transcends and illuminates generations. But as I speak that, I know that I'm going to have to sift through some things. I'm going to have to go through some things. I'm not going to always have everything that I ultimately desire. I'm not going to always get everything that I ultimately want. Maybe in the beginning. And maybe it will. Maybe I'll get to be a fairy tale story. I don't know. But I definitely choose my solitude in the midst of it. Because I'd rather you work on you. Build you up. Pour into your powers. Make sure your power and your healing and your wounds are fixed and in a position to where you can go move in abundance. So you can move in your best space. I always tell young athletes, you got to be in your best shape to see what type of athlete you are. Because you have had to do some ultimate type of work to get in your ultimate level, highest performance of, because I'm about to get back into bodybuilding now. In my bodybuilding content, I'm going to tag y'all too. Because because I think I definitely want to do it, at least amateur, but I want to pour back into my body because I'm an athlete and I lifted, and I just feel so empowered by lifting and gaining and seeing my body change and sculpt. But it's just like when you are pouring into that, when you are the ultimate level athlete, you see the true ability of what work you put in. I always tell my kids, your practice is going to show me how good you're going to play in the game. If you are not handling practice more than serious than you are handling the ultimate game, the game is going to be hard because you've been bullshitting all week. Y'all know my first tagline, everything in life relates to sports. Everything in life relates to sports. I might put that as my podcast intro. I don't know. But you see, as simple as that. If I don't practice successful, I'm going to have to end up relying on my true talent. God going to make a way, or he not. Because he's going to have to show me a lesson. Either he's going to teach me a lesson, or my God-given ability is going to push me through. But when I do not prepare well, I usually don't perform well from the beginning, and I got to warm up more, or in the warm-ups I'm not, like, you know what I mean? There's so many practice areas that we have. When we date, when we talk, when we interact, when we hit the DMs, when we talk to them, when we do all this stuff, we are practicing. So in my practice, I gotta go hard. I gotta be true in my intentions. I may not come out and be like, oh, I'm broken hearted and I gotta deal with this and my drama. I'm not saying reveal all your heart in the first day. But what I am saying is, as I'm practicing, just like when it starts in summer. Basketball starts in summer. In most sports, it starts in the off season, right? In the off season, we're light, we're casual. We laugh with our kids, we joking. We just want them to be able to come out and see it as a resource, right? And then as we progress, it gets harder. You know what I mean? Like as we go through, we are challenging. Practice is getting more difficult. You may be dealing with more situations in your own internal relationship. You may be dealing with some obstacles like, hey, this big red flag comes off the beginning. Kids come to us with drama on the first day. So like when you get hit off the rip, you got to deal with stuff. And is it worth it? And then at some point you are eventually saying it worth it. Most of those it worth it turns out. But those it don't worth it that you snap off, those also turn out. Because I needed to cut the dead end. I needed to cut the dead weight. I needed to cut whatever I needed to cut and maneuver to get to my ultimate success, which was our team success, which was winning, which was whatever. That is the same aspect I have in life. That is the same aspect I have in dating. At some point, I'm going to hear your resume. Hey, Johnny, what's going on? Here's your resume. I got this many baby mamas. I got this record. I got this debt. I got... I'm going to question some stuff. That may not come intentionally. It may come layers. You may come with a front page. You may come with, oh, this is my letters of rep. This is my work ethic. This is my intro. This is my personal statement. You're going to come in with all these other things, but at some point I'm going to see what the resume shows me, what the actions show me. And in that, I have to then decide, is it worth me? Is it worth what I'm dealing with? Is it worth what I have to go through? And then you will have clarity. But I have to accept the red flags. I have to visualize them. I have to accept them. I have to be in those things. Because if not, I'm being delulu. And if it's Manyan guaranteed, if it's beneficial to the whole caveat, I may ignore those. But baby, we got to stop ignoring those red flags. We got to stop being delusional. We got to go ahead and step into this place of like, Brody, this is what it is. In reality, I'd rather just be solo dolo. I'd rather just get my superpowers souped up, get my DS packs, get my deluxe packs, get my shit, get my ultimate powers up, and then just go ahead and be the shit when I step into the room. Go ahead and, I'm a Capricorn, focus on my shit. Capricorn. When I go ahead and step into like my knowing upright self, that is when you should approach me. But I ain't coming at no stuff like, I just rather divest in me. I rather just pour into me. I just rather just build me up. Because between all these situationships, partnerships, relationships, polygamy, relationships, dynamics, trinamics, quadruplenamics, all this stuff, at the end of the day, what makes you happy? What makes you fucking happy, bro? Like, it's just gotta be substantial. It gotta make sense. I don't only move in one place, and that's logic. Sometimes I move emotional. And as a Capricorn, when I move emotional, I feel like I'm moving delusional. Earth sign, Earth gang, I'm just saying. But if it makes logical sense to me, I'm moving in such a different way. And I just want my good people to really process, deal with stuff, evaluate stuff, talk about stuff. And hopefully this episode built some type of conversation with my good people. Thank y'all for tonight's show. Thank y'all for tuning in. I know I'm late, but we're going to come with a double back next Wednesday. I'm going to give more. I just want y'all to ride with me. Thank y'all for tuning in. Peace.